right. Well, welcome to the first ever episode of Theory Bros. I am your host, Sam Stanford, maybe co-host. We'll go with co-hosting because I have co-host Panyapit Urixit with me. So this is
Yo,
yeah. So this is like a very interesting segue to everything Steam, where we're just gonna have some conversations of stuff that we've came across in life and things that we've researched or just stuff that's just going on in the world and we want to break it down and talk about it. So I guess we'll start with an introduction to myself and
yeah,
then to Panya Pit and maybe talk a little bit about our life story and why we're doing this. Also what we've studied, I guess, if that's important to you.
yeah. I
So
think it's better to know about us before instead of like just know us from like the website and stuff because that just kind of documented. For
yeah.
this, you can hear our voice and at least our intention.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get. It'll be a great spectrum of layman talk here, and then also some intense talk, and then we'll also try to argue some things. We're not going to be yes men to every
um,
subject.
sorry. We also we also try to not swear much, but I think it might happen.
It may come out
Probably
a
for
few times.
me.
Yeah,
Probably for me.
we'll definitely be marking this as explicit on YouTube. Just saying, but.
Yeah.
So I guess as an introduction to myself, I actually was talking to one of my good friends just last night about this, and it's kind of funny the evolution or the arc of my story because I started out in a very small community. I grew up in a town of like 200 people in the middle of absolute nowhere in the sticks of Western Pennsylvania in the Appalachian Mountains, and I grew up gardening and hunting and fishing, and I was just a true paleo kind of a person. And whenever I went to college, it was my first taste of just like getting to meet like new people, like Panyapit and others, and just learning different cultures and everything. Because I grew up in a society that was predominantly white. I think we had what like three African Americans in the entire school, maybe none in
Mhm.
my graduating class. And it was just such an enlightenment to progress from such a small society into a larger development. And then I finished my degree alongside Panyapit at in Pittsburgh,
At
which
Pittsburgh.
went,
Yep.
yeah, we're going from 200 people to 300,000 people in the matter of a few years. And now I'm stationed in Phoenix, Arizona, which is in the order of millions. So it's pretty good. I've had a lot of discussions with a lot of great people, and just being a podcast host for Everything Steam has worked wonders for me in terms of broadening my horizons. But my background is quite similar to Pan's, and you'll hear about that in a little bit. But it's physics and engineering, predominantly structural engineering. But we had like an introductory, I guess, to the engineering fields at Pitt and also at Slippery Rock University. So my passion probably lies within the material science range between physics and engineering. I get really excited about that. That's what I'm trying to do for my master's, tailor it towards structural engineering and physics. But that's just some of the education and some of the things that I've, came through. I've also ran a 3D printing lab. I did that for a couple of years. I've been studying 3D printing for a long time. So I really enjoy talking about 3D printing. I mean, there's just so much that I get interested in. I love earth science. I think it's cool. Geology's awesome. We're going to be doing a tier list here pretty soon on different types of sciences. So it'll be fun to kind of break down and see what we like and what we don't like. So that's a little bit about myself. I'm sure you're going to hear a lot more. So I'll hand it over to Pan. Pan, if you want to talk to the good
Yeah.
folks.
I am Panyapit Urixit. I'm actually from Thailand. So in case like you asking like, oh, why this guy have a pretty weird name? Yeah, I'm from Thailand and I I study in Catholic school in Thailand, even though I'm Buddhist myself, back in when I'm in, back in Thailand. So this Catholic school is actually a pretty beach prestige school. Yeah, his name is Assumption College, even though it's have college, it's actually not college. It's let's just say that this school itself have a pretty interesting story. Is the story of like a Frenchman come and kind of just open a school and call it Assumption College. Yeah, and it's been stayed there very very long since like I think probably 1920. No,
Oh,
no,
wow.
1885. Yeah, this school started
Wow.
1885. That's why it's a prestige school. Yeah, I studied at that for I think I studied for more than 5 years. That's for sure. I started grade 6, and then I decided to do the exchange student program on 11th grade of high school. Yep.
Yeah. Came to
After
Pennsylvania.
that, nah.
No, oh, that's right.
At
You went to
11th
Idaho,
grade,
right?
yeah, at
Right.
11th grade, I'm at Idaho. So it's kind of changing. Like, for me, I start off at Bangkok, Thailand, a very big city, 10 million citizen in this one city.
Mhm.
Uh, so I'm just changing from like big to small, which is contrast to Sam from like he started like smallest spot to a broadened place. I'm starting at like a very big city and start getting to a smaller size, start doing something I never do before, such as like hunting, fishing. That's two thing. Actually, you might be surprised, but I actually did some lumberjacking. Actually, yeah, I actually
Nice.
cutting some woods outside.
I'd love to see a video of that.
Yeah. So it's kind of like Shin from like I used to be very insincere, really unfocused on life during high school. Even though I would say like until now I still don't know what my goal is in life, but at least I kind of have a stand on what my philosophy I will follow through. So yeah, after I went to different country, I just kind of get the kick out of it. It's like this is cool, but I think I can see more. I think I have that drive to study for the senior year of high school in different state, which is that make me go into Pennsylvania. I study at junior and high school on my senior year. Very I really like that place. Very warming. I would say that. I met the very good host parents that both from junior year and senior year. They take care of me immensely. So I rarely feel homesick. Actually, I never get homesick since. Whenever I really never get homesick. So during senior year in high school, I enrolled in the freshman year in America as well. I got the good enough SAT score and good enough TOEFL score to enroll in Slippery Rock University. That's why I meet Sam, and at that point we start kind of like a co program.
Yeah.
It's called 3+2. So like it's 3 years in Slippery Rock and 2 years in
Guess whatever college
the
you chose.
whatever college yeah we chose that also need to enroll in the program though.
Yeah.
Sad thing
Yeah.
is this program probably already ended. This program probably already ended
I
because
think
Slippery Rock.
so. I
Yeah,
think so. It
Slippery
was like
Rock
a
kind
year
of
after us or something like that.
yeah
It was
probably a year
dying.
after us because 3+2 ended with Slippery Rock have their own engineering faculty.
Yeah.
I think that's where like how it ends. So you can say like I'm probably one of the last people staying there. But
Yeah.
besides that, I studied physics for 3 years in Slippery Rock and decided to study in Pittsburgh as structural engineering.
Mhm.
So yeah, after that, I went back to Thailand and get a job here, which I rather not talk about it much.
Let's not talk about work, man.
I rather not don't want to talk about it much. But yeah, instead of Sam that he really likes science, physics, and material science, I'm really liking history. I really like art. I do love physics though. And I really love like some very wacky fun fact, more like that. I just love like some crazy concept and
Yeah.
some very like I also like philosophy about the way of life from people. I think that's how like they shaped me. Probably like from during the college year, that's where like my start like get developed, get broadened, start to become myself more. So I think that is probably the introduction of mine. Oh, and then I think how do we starting everything's theme with at this point though, I might need to pass this to Sam, but it's kind of like a cool project of us. It's actually changed the name twice now.
Yeah. Yeah. We started out with a really, I wouldn't say dumb, but just ill-advised podcast name. And that's on me. That's on me. It brought like a lot of not controversy, but like I always had to explain what woke talk was. And it wasn't the same image that you get whenever you think woke culture. It was more or less trying to like to be woke is to be informed. So we thought we would take advantage of the word woke and say we're informing people by not stating that we're informing people. We're just trying to get really relevant information out there to people that is projected by experts in the field or
Hmm.
someone who's really passionate about those topics of discussion, I guess. Not to be so um, not to be so scripted there, but yeah, I think we failed to mention here is that Pan and I lived together for a really long time. It
At
what was
least
it?
4 years. At least 4 years. We made
Yeah,
it probably 6 years, I think.
yeah, it was a good amount of time. We stayed together for at least 4 years, and then you left a few months after
Yeah, after
graduation.
school.
Yeah, and wanted to stay in contact, so we
That's
threw
why
around the
we
idea of the podcast, and
yeah.
Pan's been a hell of a help. It's unfortunate we've only got him on for one episode. He's been very busy with his work, but he really helps me out with QCing and quality control, and just telling me if something looks stupid because he does like arts. It's also kind of funny. We're very similar, but also very different people in terms of we had like the
I think
same
that's
kind of
what people is though. Like just
yeah.
to be different, which is good.
Mhm. We studied similar things, but like Pan's more pop culture-y. He's more inclined to like knowing about people. I'm not that pop culture-y. Like I don't I'm not just I don't care about the Will Smith smacking, I don't care about that. But like
Chris Rock.
Pan messages me the day after. He's like, dude, did you see that? And I'm just like, yeah, but like, okay. And then just like it blew up. There's billions of videos all over the internet, people giving their hot takes. And I'm like, you know what? Instead of me explaining black holes, which gets like 200 views, I could be talking about how the philosophy of Chris Rock getting slapped and how that's bad for stand-up comedians, and I'd probably get millions of views out of that. So I don't know, but I'm trying to do something that's a little less mainstream, but also like really important
Mhm.
to society because education's like, man,
Education is
so
the key,
important,
man.
so important. Yeah, once we turn off the learning mechanism in our brains, man, it just life deteriorates because there's so much to
Hmm.
know. And if
But
you shut yourself off, you don't get to have interesting conversations with people like Pan and myself
mhm.
and others that are passionate about other things. So yeah, we're passionate about physics and engineering, but he's passionate about
Mhm.
art. I like art too, but I'm not as passionate, and we can have a conversation about it. I like to learn about it.
So, actually, I want to talk a little bit more on like on I think what did you say prior? Um, what did what did you say prior? Dang, I forget. So,
About the podcast or after that?
no, like during the podcast about the end. Oh yeah, about the education. I
Yeah.
feel like education is very important, but I think this might be my hot take. Education is something that like need to be relevant, but education mean nothing if the person itself try to give the education is not adapt to culture.
Yeah, they're not entertaining and they can't tailor to an audience. Yeah, I
Um,
agree with that.
I'm gonna give you an more like an example thing. All right. Do
Mhm.
you know Fordlandia and Henry Ford? You definitely know Henry Ford, right?
Yeah, I did get to catch that video.
So yeah, I sent him the video, which I'll be shouting out right now. This dude is like pretty big in YouTube already.
Go for it, buddy.
Yeah. So Wendy Goon, he made this one video. It's called like the downfall of Henry Ford, which is Fordlandia. So I actually recommend you guys to watch this video. It's it's very formal and it's kind of informant. It's
While
deep,
you're talking
very
about it,
deep
I
on
can share
things.
my screen and look it up
Mm-hmm.
if you'd like. Let me see.
Yeah.
Go ahead, keep talking.
So this video, right, is talk about like this is at the end of Henry Ford. Like Ford monopoly on creating like most of the I think is it what's the model? Is it like the what 100 thing? What's the model of like the automobile that Ford
Oh,
created?
the Model T.
Model T, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So to create like those car thing, Ford can make every material except the tire.
Right. Here it is. This one right here.
Mm-hmm.
The top search from Wendy
Yep.
Goon. That's the dude that does the iceberg stuff, right?
Yeah, he did the
Yeah.
conspiracy iceberg. I'm kind of a big fan of him. I watch his video. I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube. I also look a lot of stuff on like just kind of not really on internet. I also yeah, internet that's for sure, but I also look stuff on in books and
Yeah.
some interesting fiction that I like. I'm just really I like reading, I would say that, but when I get older, it's kind of my
Yeah. I can agree with that.
it's kind of get harder. It's get harder to read when you get older sometimes, but I still try to read as much.
Yeah,
But
one
yeah,
thing
I
I've
love
noticed
reading.
try to do is audiobooks because I'm
Mhm.
trying to get a lot of things done. And maybe
Yeah,
that's not the best because like if you're trying to read and you're trying to really engage yourself in the book, you want to be like focused, putting blinders on
true.
to the book. But yeah, like if you get they did a bad job explaining how busy adult life is. You're just busy. Not like it's so like you could probably live your entire adult life and just stay on the same track and be
Yeah,
cool. But like whenever you're in college, you're always learning and taking in new information. And it's just such a different way of life, right?
yeah, man.
You're in a bubble of knowledge and culture and creativity, and then when you get out of it and you're in the world, you have to focus on your family, your friends, and your work. And outside of that,
Mhm.
it's literally dark. You wake up and you get done with work, you go home, you deal with your family and friends, and it's like, all right, bedtime, time to do it again. You know, so
Yeah, unless you don't have friends, duh.
yeah, yeah. Then you're like me, and it's just I only got a couple friends, and then I spend most of my time trying to put together for podcasts and stuff. So
Yeah, man.
yeah. So I think what we could do today to have the listener or the watcher or whatever, however you're getting this, know us a little bit more before we do some really in-depth talks, is I
Mm-hmm.
had an idea, and Pan really likes it. We're going to do a tier list. And the tier list is on the different, and this is kind of bothersome, and maybe we can make this as a hot take, but they only had like only major studies of science in this. So it feels really
Mm-hmm.
incomplete to me, but let me see if I can pull this up
All
here.
right, before the tier list, let me finish the what I'm about to talk about, that
Oh, I'm so
Fordlandia
sorry, man.
thing.
Go for it. Yeah. With Henry
Yeah,
Ford.
it's fine. So before like we start the tier list, I just wanna kind of bitching about like those kind of Fordlandia stuff. It's basically just Ford wastes all his money in Brazil to make a monopoly of, no, not really monopoly of tire making, but yeah, he deal with Brazil government to create this city, his try to make it his legacy. While doing that, he also more like try to put all the culture of like American culture,
Mhm.
Midwestern American culture into Brazil.
Where everybody
And you
says
need,
roof instead of
I
roof.
guess, man. So
Sorry.
in Brazil, right, their work time and their wildlife is like completely different. People at around like that place, they wake up very early in the morning, like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning to work, and then during like from like at noon or like late morning to noon, that where like they have a rest time because that time is too hot.
Yeah.
It's too hot, and if people work there, they might get passed out. It might be health issue, and then they start working back again until 4. After that they clock out.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, but with Ford, with his American Midwestern culture, right? Even though Ford is very good on like kind of like the revolutionize the working system in America and probably mostly the world. He made the work system of working from 9 to 5, which we still have it today, right?
Yeah.
But that system cannot work on Brazil
Yeah.
because during that time from 9 to 10, 9 to probably at 1, that's probably the hottest time, and it's not good for working. That
Really.
is mostly, yeah, because that is mostly like what Brazilian citizen, they are just chill out. That's
Man.
the rest time. That's a break time.
I think of it like, and that's surprising that it's 9 to 10, because when I
Mm-hmm.
think of thermal lag, the emission of infrared radiation from the ground, it's usually like later than that. Because whenever you associate high noon is
Mm-hmm.
like the highest exposure to radiation at your position. Um,
I
you
think like
usually experience a lag of 2 to 3 hours from there.
mm-hmm.
So like hot times, like the hottest times in at least in the United States, and maybe I'm oblivious to this, is 2 to 3 p.m.
Two
So
or
to hear
three.
you say 9 to 10 a.m. is
I
very
think like
interesting.
not really. How can I say it? Because I'm not really fully know about that. I would say like from 9 to 1,
Okay. Yeah.
probably around
Okay.
that time. Probably like at noon, in which like most people just fucking like
Well, I guess it even depends if they're working
sleep.
outside, right? Because you're
Yeah,
still
they
getting a
also work
high
outside.
abundance of UV
Yeah,
exposure. So
they are
I
doing
can
labor
see
work.
that. Yeah, the heat would be bearable, but to be out
Mm-hmm.
exposed to high amounts of radiation for
Yeah.
the highest points of the day, I see what you're saying. So yeah, and
Yeah,
I
man.
really agree with that. He's a great process engineer, but a horrible humanitarian in the
I mean,
humanitarian aspect.
I would say like he more like very ignorant because like in his policy, right? He has like because he tried to capture the Midwestern American culture, right? He tried to make it as much like what he grew up to be him.
Yeah, he was trying to instill his ways
Yeah,
onto some. I
yeah.
see that.
So
Yeah, that happens so
in
much,
in
unfortunately.
Fordlandia, yeah. So in Fordlandia, you cannot play like football, or for American audience, you cannot play soccer because that is not Midwestern American. You cannot play that in Fordlandia.
Wow.
Yeah, so
How
you
big was
literally like
Fordlandia? I'm curious.
I think it's kind of like just some I have no idea, but you can actually search on this one.
I am.
It's
It's
big enough to be a city. It's big enough to be a city. It's have
whoa.
like it's had a water tank as a landmark.
It's 5,500 square miles or 14,000 square kilometers.
It's in the Amazon forest too.
Of course, yeah, they probably deforested a good amount to make this happen.
Mm-hmm.
Typical. Typical. Wow, yeah, I'm looking at some of the images here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, man. And like for this place with a bunch of rules, the wildlife is also a problem.
Of course. Well, you
Like
put it in the
during
middle of a rainforest.
during the construction, they have so many people get killed by caiman.
Oh,
Like they even have a report, a report of like they're sleeping and then they wake up. They wake up the next day. They see a freaking jaguar just eating the baby. It's just like that. It's
whoa.
crazy. Like this place is crazy, but they made it good enough to make it make it as like the whole city, right? For like
Yeah.
a worker. This place have
My
all
goodness.
the entertainment that Ford see fit. Ford don't like jazz, by the way. He doesn't like
That's strike
jazz.
two, man. That's actually that's
So
strike three.
he
You're out of
doesn't like
here.
jazz, so he has the I think he had the tap dance floor instead for entertainment. And
Hmm.
kid kids hate like tap dancing. Like, okay, for allow all the worker to bring all the family to live here for free. Also, this place have free healthcare, which is good.
Okay. There's
Free
positives.
healthcare, very high paid, $5 per hours, which is very good
For that time?
for
Yeah.
that time. Very
Yeah.
good. But well, just very ignorant on those. Or
Oh,
like
yeah.
the Brazilian culture. People there love football. Like they really, really love football. That's why like they still have they
Yeah.
they're one of the big league in FIFA. That's one of the thing. And like they just took that away from like from like the Brazilian worker, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and another thing that like really, really big strike after that is for the vegetarian or even vegan, I would say.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So he tried to push that into the worker policy.
You don't want to push people to change their diets. The only thing you could do is inform them.
Yeah. And that's how like they create like classism too. Because like they have worker from American like as a supervisor, as an engineer and stuff, right?
Mhm.
So those guys need to follow the policy, but they export meat from like United States or other country to bring back here just for them to only eat it.
Oh,
So
they imported meat from the United States.
yeah, or just like
Oh. Mhm.
just get that to get into Fordlandia. So you will see like labor class worker, Brazilian people. They're seeing like these American folks eating meat while they're just eating like vegetable on a hot day, on a hot, humid rainforest.
This gives me
Oh, but and another thing is Ford also very anti-alcohol. He support the what's it called during the bootlegging
oh, the
time.
prohibition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he support the prohibition. So
Interesting.
yeah, that also in the policy like you are not allowed to make any bar and stuff. You
Oh.
also not allowed to uh get any like entertainment through like sex worker and stuff too. So for just
I don't
very
mind the
uptight
sex
that.
worker ban. That's
But
probably good.
like it's legal in Brazil, I think. And
Oh, really?
it's like it's some case of entertainment, but it's just not in the policy. It's so bad like the Brazilian people is they're making like kind of like a shack of like they are both a bar and a strip club at the at the rear end of like Fordlandia, just kind of like place of sin or something like that. They kind of name it like that. It's just a fun place. Like what? And because like it's in the middle of
Mhm.
Fordlandia and Amazon forest, so supervisor cannot do anything about it.
Yeah.
So all they can put in the policy is if you get like uh sexual transmit disease, we the the healthcare doesn't cover that.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, just only
That's
that
crazy.
part that they not cover it. It's just funny, but it's kind of tragic as well.
It's a
But
really interesting story.
yeah,
Of so like there's obvious benefits, but then there's a lot of suppression
yeah,
to it.
a lo-
There's a lot of
yeah, a lot of
suppression to it.
suppression.
And you know who really reaped the benefits of this was the I don't want to say Americans, but people from the United States, because I think Ford was probably one of the catalysts to having the private transportation system the way it is today. He
Hmm.
incentivized, he wanted every American to own a car. And look where
Yeah.
that's got us today. Like I understand like people love their vehicles and to travel and stuff, but there's a reason why public transportation is so horrid right now. I mean, it's bad. I just did I shouldn't shout out my TikTok, but I just did a TikTok the other day, and it was in response. It was like stitch us with the fact that you didn't believe it unless you looked it up yourself, and it was based on public-private transportation. I was like,
Hmm.
I think it was 2018.
Hmm.
Like people in the United States alone sat in traffic for 29-ish billion worker hours. So hours.
Wow.
And you could build, I forget how many pyramids of Giza. It was like 20 some, 20 some pyramids of Giza in one
Wow, that's
freaking year
impressive.
in the United States alone. That's not even talking about good old Minbury where you're at. Like that's crazy. And
Dude, it's insane.
Ford contributed to it. I mean, you can't
I mean,
completely
it's
fault
good
him. He did a
because I
lot
mean
for the
it's more
manufacturing industry.
beneficial.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and he did a lot for the assembly line. I mean, is any person perfect? Nah. Like we might have
Hmm.
just took a big fat poo on Fordlandia for a little bit there, but like he still had a lot of good things. And the good thing about history is that we can learn from people's past mistakes and
Hmm.
also take
Yeah.
their victories and advance them. So
Hmm.
can't really complain.
Well, now this is the last straw from the. Let's just say like I'm about to say like how the Fordlandia about to end,
Yeah,
where
let's
like
hear it.
most of the downfall.
Let's hear it.
So it's a worker strike. Is the start. It's not even a worker strike. It's a riot.
I would assume that would have come at some point.
So okay, the only sanctuary that Brazilian worker have at that point is a restaurant. In the
Oh,
restaurant, right? Because like they are used to those like with those worker, they had kind of like remember the cafeteria line in your school lunch. They are walking to line and getting food stuff.
mhm.
Yeah, but in Fordlandia, they have the restaurant that like work they have a waiter and stuff. They kind of like being polite and taking your order and stuff. Yeah, Brazilian worker love that because they feel like, oh, at least I can feel worthy in that place.
Yeah.
So at some point along the line, the workers start like, I think Ford probably see like it's not really profiting, or it's kind of cost a little too much on the restaurant, so they kind of take that out and turn into like those cafeteria line, and the
Uh,
Brazilian worker people just piss off.
it was their last
Yeah,
straw, man. It doesn't take much.
yeah.
It's always funny.
With
Something's
that,
Go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah.
they just took the entertainment away with that South, and also the unit, the American supervisor, the high-ranking officer of the Fordlandians, kind of have a argument with a Brazilian worker. They have a
Mhm.
lot of like claim on this one. Someone said like they're gonna cut the paid on one Brazilian worker thing, or it's gonna be about food and stuff.
Mhm.
So yeah, the Brazilian people would just piss off and start trashing their equipment and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, like they just they even break the wood mill.
Yeah.
Like in
Wow.
Fordlandia, they have a one wood mill, right? To
Yeah.
like just cut it and save it as export while like they are
Yeah.
growing the rubber plant.
Of course. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That reminds
So
me that people are very resilient. They'll hold in a lot of garbage. But
yeah.
like whenever you see someone blow up about literally the most minuscule things and you're wondering like why are they doing it? It's just because like they had so much that was actually going on inside them that
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it was just
When
it.
they
That was all it needed.
just like that, like when you take away your some people fun, it's just like when you don't have anything to relax anymore, you're gonna piss off. Like why I'm here? Like this hell and stuff.
Yeah,
Oh, and about
definitely.
the rubber plant, right? The rubber
Mhm.
plant is actually a joke because like rubber plant is very solitary plant. You're not supposed to kind of plant it around close to each other because that's how like you get blight and
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and blight caught into Fordlandia. Same with caterpillar.
Yeah, probably killed their food supply if they were gardening or anything like that.
Yeah,
Rip.
so the rubber plant just turned to ruin because like the caterpillar got the plant and the blight just killed the rubber plant faster than like they can grow.
Wow.
What even funnier, like I think they have a report on like the worker, right? They took away the caterpillar and throw into a bucket, burn this caterpillar away, right? And caterpillar, they are learning about this. Like at the start, right? They'll eat from like the from bottom to top.
Yeah.
That's how caterpillar do. But because of that, they are starting from the top and going down to the bottom. So they throw these Brazilian worker and just like the rubber plant just ruined.
Oh, man, that's
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
it's just a bunch of L. This dude got ratio, dude.
That's kind of funny, man. And you know that brings a really good point of just adaptation
Yeah.
of nature.
Adaptation, ignorance.
Yeah,
Like
I
if
mean
would be more like
they're figuring it out, dude. Like
yeah.
it's not that, and you even see that like today with mosquitoes in
Mm-hmm.
pesticides. They're getting so used to pesticides that they're now resilient to it, which is kind
Yeah.
of crazy in a lot of places. It's driving people nuts, but like mosquitoes still need to
Yeah.
survive, and they're going to try to figure out a way on how to do that.
Crazy
So,
thing is kind of follow with that mosquito you're saying. Like mosquito is getting more resilient, but it also hurting other animal. Do you remember those like news about turning the frog gay?
oh yeah, yeah, I do remember
And
that.
turn out it's from like agent it's from the pesticide,
Yeah, of
from
course.
the Agent Orange, right?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
turning the
Our
frog
endocrine
like
system's
gay.
all chemical balanced, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you
It's ruined
temperature
them.
and inducing different chemicals changes the way the endocrine system works, which
Yeah.
controls all of
And
that
I
stuff.
and I don't want to get into this, but I think in that one about turning the frog gay is EPA is enrolled in that one too.
Oh, I'm not surprised. And I really don't want to out a bunch of good initiatives that
Mm-hmm.
have bad backstories, but I
Yeah.
can totally agree. And I really do and don't like the clickbaitiness of turning frogs gay.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's a little subjective, but like if you look at it from a scientific perspective, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
People just don't know though. Like, I mean, I guess once you hear it for the first time that like our endocrine system is chemicals, we are a mixed bag of chemicals.
Yeah.
So if you get an imbalance, then it creates an effect from a causation. It's just
Mm-hmm.
that simple. Everything that
Yeah.
we endure is chemically is a chemical equation of some sort. If I was
Yeah.
a chemistry major, I'd be able to talk a little bit more on it, but that's all you really need to know from a layman's perspective.
Mm. When
Um,
all right, and this is the end of Fordlandia. I'm about to say it now. After Ford retired, his
mhm.
grandson like is the successor, right? His
Okay.
his successor, his grandson. I think his name is Henry Ford Jr. Maybe, I don't know. Is that
Okay. Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. Wait, his grandson, right?
his
Like,
grandson is the successor to Ford?
does it work like that? All right. Now I'm looking it up because you have to be a junior if you're birthed by if your father was Henry Ford and he named
Mm-hmm.
you Henry Ford, then you'd be Henry Ford Jr. So I don't know if it counts if you skip a generation or not. But if
Oh,
it
okay.
wasn't, then it would be like Henry
The
Ford
second, the
the second.
second,
Yeah. So
probably
it
the second.
would be Henry Ford the third then, because the second would be the father.
Oh, I
It's a
see.
lineage of three. Yeah. Yeah.
I
So
think it's his grandson, but I can't
either
remember
way,
his name because he's not Henry Ford. So look it up. Look it up.
whatever. I'll look
So
it up while you're
yeah,
talking.
let's just say that his successor, right? He see the first thing he get rid of is something that is a sunk cost, which is this thing, which is Fordlandia. He sell that back to the Brazilian government, and that's how like he get rid of it. So
It was
even
Henry Ford
though
the second that
oh
did
he the
that.
second,
Yeah.
yeah. So even though Henry Ford the second he sell this with like pretty high price, right? It's still not like really cover what the cost that this project is initially planned.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's rough,
Well,
man.
even think about it, man. Just the environmental costs there, inducing all those pesticides, killing, wiping out like an ecosystem, and then
Yeah,
also changing the culture there, which is has its
changing the
own
culture is
indirect costs.
insane.
Yeah,
That is
it's big.
insane.
It's big.
And don't even talk about like the ruin of equipment because like the worker doing the strike and trash those.
Yeah.
That's gonna cost a lot.
Yeah, but yeah, and to them, but like the cost of them liberating themselves is probably way
Way
outweighs that
higher.
situation. But
Yeah.
then,
And I mean, at this one, I'm talking about like the monetary value when you compare
yeah,
that to like what the Ford company sell back to the government. Oh,
yeah,
and the rubber plant. Rubber plant is all ruined. That's project fucked.
ooh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it would be.
Because like at some point they Ford actually hired botanists to look into this
Hmm.
on like, oh, why this thing just keep messed up. So the botanists look at this, doing some research, like, oh, this place cannot grow rubber plant anymore. Like it's gonna be a blight plague now. It's a plague. You cannot grow this. And he recommend people to just like plant the rubber tree at some place.
Oh, speaking of the rubber, so so natural rubber is also called India rubber, latex Amazonian rubber. So
Yeah.
we would be talking about Amazonian rubber here,
Yep.
which is pretty cool. A lot of people probably don't know that it comes from an organic
Yeah.
source. They turn it
And
inorganic, obviously, whenever you turn it into a plastic long chain
mhm.
polymer, but it is natural rubber, Amazonian rubber. Kind of
Yeah.
cool.
And because it's the Amazonian rubber, right?
Hmm.
In the end, they lost to synthetic rubber. That's how like
Of course,
Fordlandia get killed too, because like too much cost to spend, and not a
fossil
lot of
fuels,
people gonna
man.
yeah, and not a
The
lot of
cost.
people gonna buy that like rubber because like you already have cheaper and more efficient rubber from like synthetic rubber.
Yeah, it's
That's how it
unfortunate
is.
where money talks, shit walks, right?
Yeah,
It's unfortunate, but
but
so
yeah,
true.
I think that's done for me talking about like Fordlandia and the end of the story of that from what I can get. I think this gonna be completely from like Ford from from looking at Ford policy and his decision from the start. Like actually he wanna do this as his legacy, right? His advisor said like this is a bad idea. His family said it's a bad idea, but he decided to do it anyway because he's stubborn. He's a stubborn guy. And at that point, he's really rich anyway. He's about like at the end of his life.
Mm. Seek a second opinion, I guess, is the moral of this
Mm-hmm.
story.
Yeah.
And also be moral at the same time. Think at,
Yeah.
and if you can't solve a moral quarrel, go for ethics.
Yeah, and I think Ford have a comment on like Fordlandia. He have like you can bring education, but like you cannot you I think something about like you should give education, but you cannot give education to like what if people don't want to learn or something like that. I
Yep.
think it's different because it's not about unlearn. People would like to learn on that one. Brazilian people would rather cooperate if Ford decide to lower the policy. Like he even got like a lot of good stuff. Like the free healthcare is good.
Yeah, for
A
sure.
lot of entertainment is good. If he decide to not push the tap dance, which people there doesn't like, or not like pushing the no soccer, which that is bad.
Yeah, suppressing the way of life, I think, was his
Yeah,
downfall for
and
sure. I
like
mean, it would
if
be in any
he
situation.
yeah, and if he changed the time clock, it will be different too. Like if he decide to follow with like what Brazilian people used to like work at early morning and then
Mhm.
have a long break and then work until 4.
Yeah.
That would change.
Oh, definitely. It changed the entire psyche of the workforce there. And it wouldn't
Yeah.
probably had maybe they would have still had problems down the line, but it would have lasted a lot longer, more
Yeah.
than likely. Yeah.
And
So
at Fordlandia though, not only like they have free healthcare, they have free education for kids too. That's why I said like it's something good.
yeah.
Like this thing could work,
Yeah. Right.
but he just fudged it.
It's not a binary situation, right? It's not good or
Mm-hmm.
bad. It's not
Yeah.
zero or ones. I mean, there's a spectrum of good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely the good, the bad outweighed the good in that aspect. Don't mess with somebody's way of life. And if you do,
Yeah.
you pay the consequence at some point because
I
it
mean,
gets to be enough over
yeah.
time.
I mean, like this place can, even though it might fail because due to the caterpillar and nature in general, but at least people won't be as angry as they should be if he kind of at least learn a little bit more on the Brazilian culture.
Yeah.
That will
Yeah.
that will change.
Yeah. Maybe it's even if you think about it this way, I'll take a side here and just say maybe it was an uninformed decision because there wasn't information provided to him at the time. He didn't
Yeah.
know someone being from the Midwest of the United States probably doesn't have a lot of information, at least at that time, you know, that time of the 20th century, very early.
Mm-hmm.
How
Sad.
how much information is provided of the indigenous peoples in
Mm.
Brazil?
Yeah, but
Because like at that time, what was at the height of care was eugenics. That was the hype of the time. I don't, and that was a lot of pseudoscience. There was a lot of pseudoscience going around at that time. Uh, I'm
well,
curious on how much information was in front of Henry Ford to make an informed decision. And
yeah.
and
But I
he was
mean, like,
also a
if he
hiatus
study
person.
more though,
But
he
he's a
actually
hiatus
educated
person.
person.
Yes. Yeah, he was.
I mean,
I just
like,
wonder about how much was, like you said, a legacy in his head compared to what was
mm-hmm.
morally correct. So maybe you did need information. I
Yeah. I
can't.
mean,
I'm not in his shoes.
at least learn more.
Yeah,
I feel
he
like
could have
at
took a
least
flight
learn more.
down and learned about the culture for a week at least, and
Oh,
made an informed decision.
he never made it. He never landed at Fordlandia at all.
There it is. There it is. If he would have just
But
maybe
though,
went down to scout it and learn something, maybe
yeah,
he
but
could have tailored his ways a little bit.
and another thing is, actually, this place is stay for quite long. Probably, I think they made it into like more than a year, right? I'm not sure Fordlandia, but at least it's at some times more than a year or two. At that point, he can change policy to fit more, but he's not like high pay. Not gonna grab people much. Like high pay will grab people, that's for sure. But like when a lot of things happen, you cannot. Like even though he even he's able to close the restaurant, but he's not allow people to like eat meat or
Yeah. He
play
was
soccer.
Fordlandia was established in the 1920s and it closed in 1934. It was abandoned
Yeah,
in
it's
19.
it's
So it was at least a
whole
decade, give or
yeah,
take. So it's a
at least
decent
a
amount of time.
decade. So at that time, he can change policy. Like he even able to close a restaurant there.
Yeah. He had time to adjust and he didn't.
Yeah, but he didn't.
Yeah.
So it's still back to like he just try not to learn.
Yeah.
He just
I was just trying to
refused to
state another
adapt.
side of the story, but this other side of the story wasn't justified. So I retract it for sure.
Like I mean, I'm really standing my ground here. Like the dude just ignorant.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I
So
mean,
we got about like 15 minutes here. So maybe we can do a quick tier list and round
I
this out. I'm definitely gonna name this whenever I post it on YouTube. We're gonna talk about Fordlandia. Fordlandia discussion. This wasn't even on the radar whenever we talked about it, and it's great. This is actually really good. I like this conversation. So
anyway, let's speed run this shit.
so I don't know. Can you see this pretty well? If not,
Yeah,
I can see if I can blow it up. But
I can see it.
okay.
I-
So typical tier list. S is the top. Fake science is the
Mhm.
bottom. I guess that's kind of funny. Fake science, pseudoscience. For anybody
Can
that
we
doesn't
set
understand,
fake sign as Alex Jones?
You're really just trying to get us canceled today. Episode 1
Alright.
canceled.
Sad. All
So
right.
let's just explain these first. So the first one on the
Mhm.
left is astronomy, obviously, or maybe we
Mhm.
could just branch that out: astronomy, astrophysics, cosmology. The next
Wow.
one is
Wait.
biology. Let's just keep it at biology. The next one's chemistry, and then we
M.
got computer science, whatever you want to, computer science, and engineering in terms of software engineering, what have
Mhm.
you. We have geology, or just I'm just going to
Geology.
call it earth science. Let's just call it earth sciences.
Earth
I like,
science. All right. All
yeah.
right.
The next one, it's harder to tell. It's either physics or math. It's just really small. But I'm gonna go with maybe
I'll
one
I'll
being
go with math.
physics.
I go with math because the
Mhm.
other one look more like physics.
Yes, that's what. Okay, that's what I was gonna say. Mathematics, and then physics, and then the last one's probably psychology. I'm assuming if you got a
Mhm.
brain. So
I don't think I
psychology and
can find
neuroscience.
fake sign. I don't think I can find fake sign in here though. To be honest.
Yeah, I think that's what I was
They
saying.
need
I'm
to
like,
have more. This thing needs to have more, but
I have
this
an
thing will be
idea.
good for speed run.
Let's speed run it, and then let's put 2 categories of pseudoscience in.
All right.
Okay, off the top of our heads.
Interesting.
All right, so hot take, and this I think so. I think everything starts with physics. Physics creates biology, or physics
Super
creates chemistry.
biased, but
Chemistry
I
creates
understand.
biology. It is the root definition of how we can understand the
Are
universe.
you saying physics S tier?
I'm saying physics is S tier every day.
Super biased, but I'm also biased as well.
It just
It's super
explains
biased.
everything, you know? Like,
Physics is physics, man. It's
Mhm.
you punch rock, you hurt your hands
Why did it happen? Physics. I mean, like, physics can explain it. It's
until
just
you
the
get
ground. It's like the foundation of everything. You know,
until
it's
you
what
get
holds it
into
up.
quantum physics, though. Until you
Uh,
get into quantum physics, that magic, dude.
it's probability, not magic. That's
It's
pseudoscience.
magic. That's magic.
Pseudoscience. Get out of here. All right. So the
Math
next
A
one. Let's.
tier.
You want to go math A tier? I like that.
Math A tier.
I think and I can agree with this a little bit because I wouldn't put it as an S. I was actually going to put it in B, and it's the reason why is because math is very egocentric to just
Yeah.
human understanding. Like math obviously explains the universe. It models the universe. So let me. I think it models the universe, but it's tailored to us. I think. Like the number scale is tailored to us. The way we figure out the volume of a sphere is tailored to us. It's very, like, I love the applications of math. I think math's beautiful, but I can't grant it the rank of S.
And this is from me, why I give math only an A, not an S, is because like if we look into like more people perspective, it's probably the first thing where it drive people off is math.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, we don't do a good job exciting people on mathematics. And that's
Yeah,
probably just the education system problem. Like
that's why
math
it
is
needs
beautiful.
better PR.
Yeah.
I feel like math can be pushed better, but
Mhm.
um,
I don't think math
I
is really
think
appreciated until like college with
I think it's
application.
just that too, and it's just root down to people just talking about like, oh, it used to be like, let's just say this: when you watch the movie, you will hear something like, or even cartoon. It's just like, oh, I hate math. Those
Yeah,
kind of jokes always
it's
happen.
pushed.
Yeah, and it's get ingrained in a lot of people to the
Mhm.
point like, oh yeah, being hating math is like kind of mainstream or just something like that.
It is definitely mainstream. All right, let's do something maybe a little more controversial between you and I.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I don't know. I don't know. So, do we want to call this neuroscience, or we want to call it psychology? This will
Let's
determine.
call it psychology because
Okay.
that will be broader.
Okay. Do you want to go first? I'll let you rank it.
For me, I want to give it fake science.
Okay.
But
I was gonna say D, but okay.
okay, I'm gonna say this. I'm not dissing any like fake science, but I no, like I'm dissing all fake science. I need to word it better. But for psychology, it's hurt too much. It's it in order to create a good result, they hurt so many people, and
Oh,
they
I
also
see.
hurt animal. So
I see.
I mean, can we change fake science to like cruel instead? Because like that's how it
Well, here,
is.
how about
Because like
this?
all of this is just like things.
Oop, oops, you
Oh
can't
my
spell.
god, Sam can spell cruel.
I'm an engineer, bro.
Yeah. So for
I
psychology,
I would agree with that for sure. I
like
didn't want to agree with this, but now I'm agreeing. See, we're being yes men right now. But go ahead.
you, I mean, I just convinced you, bro. But the reason why I give it like is cruel is
Mhm.
because like the subject itself is have so many tests on things that it can prove is ineffective, especially during like the 80 to 90. It's just all like wacky theory. Like, yeah, it can be fake science too because like people just try to put in this thing into theory like as like psychology, but you
Yep.
cannot really learn what really happened. Like even look into Sigmund Freud, even
Yeah.
though he's like the forefather of like psychology, but and
People,
right now he kind of look people kind of look him more as like it's more like a philosophy instead.
he's a
So what
philosophy, and
really
it's
is?
like very cult feeling and also very pushed agenda. I
Yeah,
just
man.
anybody who like actually studies psychology now, I think they regard him as a meme. But like
Yeah,
in the time that he was around, he was like
he's the
the
god
almighty of, yeah, of psychology.
psychology.
Mhm.
But yet, furthermore, on like why I put it as a cruel because like a lot of concept in psychology, right? Even like I think about the test of fear and stuff. You remember that? Yeah, I talked to you about that.
Might have a
Like
while ago.
it's like a test of some people some subject to like how people can be obedient to authoritarian dictator or like authoritarian figure, like why like how bad it is, like you can see people hurt why they're still doing that is they they kind of bring like one subject into the room and
Mhm.
and like the researcher, right, will tell that like, oh, we will tell you like you'll be the tester, you'll be the punisher of the other room, which the other room also participate with researcher. The
Mhm.
researcher tell like, oh, if we ask question, right, if the good if you answer the if the other people, right, they answer the question and they answer it right, you don't need to push the button, or like they need to push it, but like it's at the small minimum to tell them like, oh, this is the right answer. But if they answer it wrong, you need to crank it up to make it hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Cruelty
yeah.
it is. Yeah. Yeah, cruelty it
But
is.
But funny thing is, like, people from the other side, they did not get actual shock, you know? Like, they
Mhm.
did not get, like, the electrocute. But the people that, like, need to push the button, they don't know about this, so they thought, like, they actually hurting the other people. And because of that, like, I think on that test, in the end, like, people just, like, even though the person, like, heard, like, the other side kinda screaming with, like, they need to scream to, like, you know, mimic, like, the getting shocked thing. Like, even though they heard that scream, like, just keep happening until, like, they turn silence, they still keep pushing it.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's why I kinda put it as, like, cruel. And don't even talk about, like, the Stanford experiment. I'm not
Oh
dissing
no.
your last name, by the way.
Nah.
There's
Speed run. Speed run. Remember, speed run. If you want to know why it's cruel, go look it up. Okay. Speed
yeah,
run.
yeah.
What?
Psychology is cruel, can be fake science because a lot of tests is dumb.
Yeah. I think if we were to flip the script and say on a neuroscience perspective, I'd probably put it at B.
B.
I think I'm very excited about neuroscience. There's like 500 million freaking books about consciousness. I don't think we're
Yep.
going to figure out consciousness until we get something that has the same capacity or same processing as our actual brain.
Yeah.
Right now the technology can't do that, but I think what they're doing is fantastic work. I really enjoy listening to neuroscience podcasts, but it has potential. That's why I'm putting it at B. Whenever
But that
they
is
explain
neuroscience.
consciousness, I think it would be S tier. But right now, I'm marking it a little bit lower.
But if this psychology is either cruel or fake science.
Yeah. We'll keep it down here and just say it's psychology. So, all right, let's do computer science.
CT at best.
I have my own take on this, but
You go
let's
ahead.
hear
You
you.
go
Oh,
ahead.
you want me to go first?
Yeah, I said psychology as a main majority. Now it's your turn, bro. Why?
Man, computer science is awesome. And maybe it's just me saying it's not for me, but man, like they don't really explain the absolute nasty, boring hours you have to spend in computer science. Like very taxing, boring hours of coding. Does it pay well? Yeah, because you have to sit there for long periods of time and sift through other people's codes that has their bias mashed into it. They have to spend a lot of time understanding the bugs that they have to fix. There's just so much downtime, not downtime, so much just way too much time wasted. But it's amazing. I mean, obviously, the reason why I give it a C is because it has amazing applications, but damn, is it boring in my perspective. Remember, this is our opinions and perspective. It is not
Yeah.
obviously like it's maybe not the majority. Maybe people put it in B. I mean, I could put it in B as well. Maybe I will just because of the applications of it. Obviously, we
I'm,
wouldn't have the things we do today without coding.
I'm not gonna please people. I'm gonna piss them off. I'm gonna put a C.
All right, I think
the
it's really
reason
good there. Yeah.
the reason why I'm gonna put it as C is because, like, that's true. It's really taxing on the start because, like, if we going with, like, computer science, right? During the first, like, before we actually go into computer science, we need to know how to code. At least knowing the basic. That's where it's really boring and taxing until you can get to the fun stuff like, oh, how come the AI happening? You creating your own AI. How do you get into, like, the simulation and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, why I give it C is because, like, when you look at it with, like, math or physics, it's true it is can apply, but math and physics are an issue in itself.
Yeah. I think Moore's law with respect to computer science scares me.
With the possibility.
Yeah, because look at what's happened to humanity and our impacts because of
Yeah.
Moore's law, because of the ability to code and create cool things with code. Now, is it fantastic? Is there a lot of amazing products that we use every day? Sure, but it also makes people lazy too.
Yeah,
In our roots, maybe. Is that
that's
better?
true.
I don't know. It's still up for debate. Do we sit a
Mm-hmm.
lot more? Absolutely. Are we changing evolutionarily because of our amount of sitting? Yeah. Will it change us? Absolutely. Will it make us smarter? I don't know. Again, that's a hot debate. You know, are we
Mm-hmm.
getting smarter from technology, or are we getting lazier and unwilling to memorize? I don't know. That's a good question for a neuroscientist and a computer
Mm-hmm.
scientist to sit down and argue.
Yeah.
But maybe
All
I'll
right.
ask that.
Let's talk about rock. S tier. Rock S tier.
Okay. I I can agree with this. I
You
find
know
I
what?
find
You
it
know why we
fascinating.
have the same brain cell? Dude, you know why we have the same brain cell? We are civil
Live for
engineer. That's why we love rocks. We love
we lived
soil.
together for too damn long. That too. I
You know, this will have a different take if we bring out one of our friend named Gabby, which is like chemical engineer.
yeah.
She will have different take in this because what I'm about to say is Kim, oh that's fake science. Nah,
I
just
love
kidding.
I was gonna say
I'll give Kim as a B.
damn. Okay. I was gonna say A, but all right. All right. Well, why do you say B? Is it I understand I think I know why, but I'm gonna keep that in my brain.
The reason why I give Kim a B is because like I think it's like a combination of things and so many law that is created that like I think they even have like the law of like some chemical like it's only happened to some element, but like all the other just only happened the same way, but they need to create another law. It's feel redundant, but because it's science, it need to be like that. I mean, it's good. It's really cool that like they create a new element for that. Some people like the history of chemistry is very interesting. I would say like even more interesting than physics. The the chemistry history is very like interesting.
I'm giving you a thumbs down on that statement with the
You know
history of
what?
chemistry.
It's facts. Like the history of chemistry is very cool. Like how do you start from like the model of like the atom into like how this happen? You can
Yeah.
see the progress of people learning. Like for physics, you can see like a whole big timeline of thing, right? But for like chemistry, people start learning that like at some point, probably around like I think 17th century, right? I'm not sure when Neil Bohr starting it, right?
I don't know dates. I'm not gonna try to remember
Yeah,
that. But
but it start more modern than physics. Let's just say that like physics start from like even the Greeks.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh I have a hard time balancing the A and B. And
Mm-hmm.
I like I like chemistry a lot. Um, do I
Until you
use
get
it?
so poorly.
No. Yeah, I was gonna say you ranked it as a B because of our past professor. She gave you
Nah,
way too much
man.
homework. That
Nah,
I
man.
really
I
like
I
I
give
love
this a B
chemistry.
because of how redundant it is. That's for real. Like the different law that happened to it. Like for some element, it's just why.
I I like the physics of chemistry. And I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. I love the
I
history of chemistry. It's very interesting.
yeah.
Oh, by the way, we forgot to talk about rock science, uh, geology, right?
Yeah, we skipped right into chemistry. So I really like geology because it involves understanding the earth, and also plate tectonics is fantastic. If you want to talk about history, geology is there, man. It is such a great
Mm-hmm.
way to map like what's happened on this
Yeah.
beautiful rock. Like, it's crazy. The history is so rich. I don't know why people like to just say that it was created 6,000 years ago, because there's so much awesome shit that has happened in 4.6 billion years. Like,
Yeah.
it's so amazing. Like, if you pay attention, even just if you look at the mass extinctions, because we had a mass extinction episode, I had so much fun preparing for that. Like, it was so
Mm-hmm.
cool getting to hear about the organisms of the past, how they perished, why they perished was really interesting, because of literally almost every time it was climate induced by some sort of event. Like literally there was a time on Earth that plants created an ice age and killed so many organisms.
Wait, is plant? Wow,
Yeah.
that's new. I didn't know it's plant.
Yeah. So plants evolved because of the abundance of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. They sucked all of like a huge abundance of it in parts per million. And then
Wow.
there was no greenhouse effect.
Mm-hmm.
The Earth's albedo was very large. So we weren't trapping any heat. And it created a huge like polar ice cap effect. It just
Isn't
changed
like
everything.
I
Sick.
think before like the Jurassic period, a lot of plant happened and like it's kind of caused insect to kind of like get bigger and have too much like oxygen output
Oh yeah. There's
during
that
that
as
time,
well.
and how come like that lead to like ice age? I'm s- I'm so I'm kind of interested. I'm not gonna call you like cap on that one, but it's like I just think like,
Well,
that's cool. How
you're
come?
off by a few hundred million years in your talk there, but you're right, that has also happened.
I
There's
mean, humans not there too. Oh, and
yeah,
wait,
well, of
it seemed
course it's
like
not.
the meteors kind of fell down, right?
Which one?
The one
See,
that killed
so you got
all
to get your
all the
timelines
the one
correct.
that killed all the dinos before the ice age,
Okay,
right?
65 million
How?
years ago. I was talking about something hundreds of millions of years ago.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the KT extinction event is fascinating in itself because a cosmological event created a trickle effect that killed most of the large reptilian species on Earth and gave rise to the
Mm-hmm.
mammals to take over the planet, which is
I
awesome. What a change of events. What a change of events.
Yeah.
Um, I like that. So geology is fantastic, dude. Fossil
Geology is
hunting's
fun.
cool. It's all interesting. The way that we get different rocks and minerals is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty. Heck, I have a piece of petrified wood. I have a piece of gneiss, and I also have a piece of Montgomery red sandstone just sitting over here
Mm-hmm.
in my display because they're pretty. The Earth is pretty. So okay, we got two left.
Mm-hmm. That is astronomy, and what was
Biology.
that? Biology. Astronomy is I don't want to say this, but it's C for me.
Wow.
It's C
Oh,
for me. How about you?
S. S tier.
All
Yeah.
right, show me your
I want to
claim.
hear your C take though.
All right,
You're not a
C
true
stand for
physicist
clown.
anymore.
C stand for clown, but I'm gonna defend my clown stance. The reason why I
You're
give
good,
it a
bro.
C is because like for astronomy, even though it's very fun, it's kind of interesting to look at like two different planet and even like branching out onto like the other galaxy. But for me, I feel like it's a little too far fetched. You know, it's a little like too far fetched. It's cannot like we at this point we are not able to use it to its full potential yet.
Putting the cart before the horse. I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I think what you're
Instead,
trying to say is practicality wise,
yeah,
you like earth science, chemistry, computer science, math more in terms of what's helping us here.
yeah.
You're the there is no planet B type of person, aren't you?
I mean, it probably have planet B, that's for sure. But at this point, we need to make this planet A like
Yeah, of course.
as more livable as possible. We need to clean it up. We already
Mhm.
made this mess in this place. We might as well need to clean it up, man.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
yeah, it might be good to terraform planet, terraform Mars, or find a new planet to live. But at this point, we we need to do what we can do, and like we still unable to like solve all the human problem yet. How come we cannot use like enough resource on Earth in general? We still like in the learning phase of like renewable energy. We cannot like use it all to completely like use like to use it instead of fossil fuel. You know, we need to learn more about things like that before like we can branching out to the star. But at least right now we have a good start on that. Give me your S take. I told you, C for clown.
I'm just gonna say, whoever's listening or watching this, please shit post Pan in the comments, because my man is walking on glass right now. He is wearing the clown face mask, especially on those last couple statements, man.
Bruh.
We've known about renewable capabilities for decades, bro. It's
Yeah,
just
but
a
I
matter of
feel like
humans.
we still keep kind of like pulling it back due to like politics and stuff. But
That's what I just said. It's humans. Yeah, for sure. And
yeah.
I will agree with you on one thing, is that we are putting the cart before the horse in terms
Mhm.
of our progression of space exploration, because we are trying to deal with things on Earth. But at the same time, there are other agencies. It's where we
Mhm.
push our funding. It has nothing, like, I don't think we should shitpost space exploration, because it provides us with amazing technologies that can help us on Earth.
That's why I
So
kind of understand more on like why people would want to give it to S tier. But
yeah.
for me, it's just C tier for now because I think it's too far fetched for me.
Well, there is things that are too far-fetched and things that aren't far-fetched, right? I mean, I can get that. I'm not gonna say it's yay or nay. But one thing that I do love about space is that it gives a sense of wonder, and
That
it's
is
very
true.
fascinating.
I mean,
And
people do have fantasy about that. That's why, like,
not even
freaking
fantasy.
Star
Like, let's
Wars.
keep the pseudoscience out of this. Not even the
Oh,
fantasy. Just having an understanding that there is a different, like, this is
planet.
reality, but there
It's a
are
sense
other
of wonder, that's
realities.
for sure.
Yes, just there's literally there's there's literally
It's kind of like how,
diamond volcanoes out there.
yeah,
There's literally runaway greenhouse effects in our neighborhood.
that's
There's so
true.
many freaking awesome like possibilities out there.
Mm-hmm.
And also to know that we more than likely, by probabilistic outcomes, are not alone,
Mm-hmm.
it is so vital towards our development as humans, because if we can understand these things, take advantage of what's around us cosmologically, I
Yeah.
think it will drop our egocentric look at life.
I I think it's also the fact that like human ourselves love the sense of like the unknown. They're
Yeah, that
fascinated
too.
by it. They
Yeah,
fascinate by it and they also fear by it.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
So that's why like space is something we're trying to grab it. Trying
Mhm.
to at least try to understand it more. I can understand that though.
Yeah,
So yeah.
there's good and bad to it. I
Mhm.
appreciate the technological aspect to it, but I can also understand where you're coming from for the cart before the horse statement. I
Mhm.
will say that, like, I don't know anybody in space that knows about, like, astronomy, astrophysics, and such,
Mhm.
that are talking about terraforming more than they're just talking about the exploration,
Exploration. Yep.
because it makes sense to know that we're if we can terraform Mars, why aren't we doing that here on Earth? So you're not going to see Mars be terraformed for a very, very long time.
True.
Very, very long time. Uh, it just, there's too many problems with that. I think,
Mhm.
where the true focus is like understanding like our spot in the solar system, understanding certain like origin questions, and also trying to figure out. I think what's really a way better than terraforming is space mining. I think that would be
Mhm.
cooler.
Yeah, I feel like space mining is probably the key. Like because like the resource here is pretty finite, but space is vast and we can just go get it with that like what you said like the diamond volcano. That's cool.
Mhm. I'll
So
meet you
you give it
midway.
out of B.
I'll meet you a midway,
Yeah, we can
because
go with that.
yeah, I'll meet you at midway. So the last one is biology.
S tier.
Learning about life. I think that's good, because there's I think the story of life is gorgeous. I really do. The pushback of entropy. It's so
Yeah.
fantastic. Like everything is like how life is developed from simple to complex to the
Mm-hmm.
evolution. Evolution is so amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, it just has so many great fruits. But
And also biology is one of like probably the main factor for medical and how do we understand our own body? How do we can save people, animal, plants?
for sure, how we can take advantage of the ecosystem in an ethical
Yeah.
way to
And we
help life. Yep,
yeah, and like if we studied biology more, we might be able to know the secret to immortality. If we look at age or the concept of death by old age as a sickness, is the cell deteriorating, right?
yeah,
Or by
it's entropy
time.
winning.
But if we learn more on biology, how we understand it, we might find a cheat code on that.
Yeah, I
That's
don't.
why it's
Why
kind
would
of
you
cool
want to
in that
be
way.
immortal though? I think that's
I'm not like
garbage.
I'm saying it. I don't want to be immortal either,
You
but with
just
the
mean
concept of
prolonging
that,
life a little
yeah.
bit farther. I see. So you're talking about
But it's
extending
just
our
kind of sense
lifespan.
of wonder for you too. Like
Yeah, of course.
for you with the space thing is a sense of wonder of like exploration. But when you look at our genetic code and we trying to find like, okay, what is the end goal on how to finish it? It's like how you can conquer death. That's like the probably like same thing with like exploration of space, but for this kind of like how do you finish like the how we can look into genetics and able to finish that is probably the sense of wonder in that part too.
Hmm. Okay.
I
Okay.
just think it's very fascinating in that part, but to be honest, I feel like immortality is a curse though, so I definitely don't want to push on that. But
Yeah, that was when you said that, I'm like, that's not the right word. Then you said
mm-hmm,
lifespan. I'm like, yeah, it's better. That's better. We, I think immortality is horrible, a horrible concept.
mm-hmm,
It can stay in pseudoscience or in sci-fi.
yeah.
Speaking of pseudoscience, you give me one pseudoscience, I'll give another, and then we're piecing out of here.
Pseudoscience, huh?
Yeah.
Can this be called a pseudoscience? The Christianity take on human evolution? Is that count? Is it actually have a word for it? Like have the name of the subject?
You have to you have to kind of refine that because Christianity
Like because
doesn't
the
believe in evolution.
yeah, like they're trying to mix that together. But say like human is the first creation, but like the Adam and Eve, right? So
Oh,
they
you mean
actually have
the pulling
yeah, it's
the
kind of
Eve
ass
from.
thing into a pseudoscience.
Oh man, why are you making me do this? This is why this. I don't want to talk about religion, but I mean, yeah, it's a pseudoscience.
Yeah, I think that is the thing that I probably kind of don't like
I think
much.
it's more confirmation bias than anything. Somebody's trying to push their own agenda, and by making sense of it, they're trying to connect dots
Mm-hmm.
to make it tailor to what they want their reality to be like, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's their belief. That's fine. There's a reason why we need to have separation of church and state. So if you want to believe that Eve was created by the rib of Adam and evolution started there through a horrible genetic drift sequencing, fine. I don't mind it. But if you're trying to push that agenda in schools, that's when I get upset. So
Yeah,
that's all I have to say. Is it a pseudoscience? Yes.
yeah,
Do they try to pull science into it? Yeah, but it's skewed. So that's when it's pseudoscience, right?
yeah.
It's not the pursuit of knowledge anymore. It's the pursuit of confirmation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yes, I'll agree with you on that.
I feel
Um,
like the subject that kind of denounces like a pseudoscience kind of very back on me. I'm trying to like keep
I'll give you one:
what?
astrology.
That is not science.
It's pseudoscience.
It's not even pseudoscience. That's just bullshit.
Do you not know what the root definition of pseudoscience is?
I
Pseudoscience is
know
fake science.
it's
But
fake science, but that is not even science. That's just bullshit. Like
it's the
you're
same
looking
thing of
to a
what you
star,
just
you
brought
just
up. It's the same
yeah,
thing of
but
what you
that
just
thing
brought
is
up.
kind of ass pull. That thing just ass pull.
Pseudoscience is taking fake science and pushing it towards your agenda. That's
I
exactly what
guess.
astrology does. They try to have a confirmation bias that I'm an Aries and I believe, or I feel this way this day because the stars have told me so. As burning inside me.
Hmm.
I'll rein back and say astrology is a pseudoscience, but it's another thing where it's totally fine for you to do that
Believe
and
in
to
it.
believe in it.
Hmm.
It's just not okay. There needs to be separation of. I'm just going to say church and state here, but it needs to be separated from school because
Okay.
it's a hobbyist kind of a pursuit
Yeah.
rather than an actual applicable knowledge. It's done to it's practiced to have a confirmation bias of who you are and give you a
Hmm.
sense of purpose in life and to keep you from looking like everybody else.
Okay. By the way, also the reason why before we clowning each other to death, the reason why I kind of tell like astrology is not pseudoscience and it's just like a hobby or something that I said bullshit instead is because like it's very difficult or even like impossible to relate a star to your personality itself because that
Yeah.
doesn't have like connection to science itself from like
Yes.
what I'm saying with like how people use trying to like bring Christianity and science itself in that part of like evolution and stuff, trying to mix it together to get conformity. But at least for that, they're trying to use some theory that they can find to make it into like their fantasy. That's still that what we call pseudoscience more. But I cannot find a connection between like you look into a star and how that connect to your personality.
Yeah, it's exactly what I was getting at. The
Mm-hmm.
star alignment, and where the moon phase, what the moon phase was when you were born, and where the sun was. That has no scientific application to you as a person. Not even the moon phase has an application to you. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like the gravitational difference between the gravitational pull of the moon onto you is so
Mm-hmm.
negligible that it doesn't matter. But it affects the waves. Yeah, the waves has a mass. Its mass is unbelievable compared to you. I mean, look at the effects that the moon has on a lake compared to an ocean. The moon gives high tides, high low
Yeah.
tides for oceans, but doesn't for lakes. Mostly, it, that's how large you need to be to feel influenced by the moon, or even
Yeah.
by the moon and the sun in tangent and then also together. So it is a pseudoscience. I really I've wanted to do a podcast on it, but I just don't.
I'm I'm
eh,
still stand. It's
It's
not
hot take.
pseudoscience. It's just claim. I would say it's a claim instead of pseudoscience.
Well, it's also pseudoscience because it's taught in schools. Like you can
What do you
have
mean taught in school? What kind of people taught astrology in school?
it
And
used to
unless
be.
they are the actual school on it.
Yeah, it used to be. I don't know. It feels pretty culty to me,
What?
but it's so mainstream that it can't be culty.
If we going with that, I would say like hypnosis is a pseudoscience.
Yeah, I would say so as well.
Mm-hmm.
It,
Like yes, that's so similar to psychology though. I mean, like, I feel like the hypnotist is it would
Can,
probably be possible, but it it need a lot of like participation to feel like they get pulled into like they got hypnotized.
I'm just going to end it by saying that a pseudoscience has anything to do with a confirmation bias that pulls science into the category. So like you have your establishment, and then you have science, and you try to take science to merge something that's not scientific to get an
Still,
understanding and a confirmation of what you believe.
astrology,
That's
tell me,
pseudo.
how is that science? It's not even science. How is they relate to science? What kind of ads would they bring? Like they taught in school.
Pseudoscience, a collection of beliefs or practices mistakenly regarded as being based on scientific method. Pan, learn the definition of pseudoscience.
Yeah, based
Endgame.
on scientific method. Like, what kind of scientific method? Just freaking claim the fuck. You can tell me like I'm really hating this because like I kind of give pseudoscience more credit than like complete bullshit, which is astrology.
Pseudoscience is BS anyways.
Yeah, but this, I don't know. At least I kind of see pseudoscience as like ass pull.
No, but okay. All right.
All right,
This was our
before
hot
people
take
clown
on
us.
this
Yeah,
was our hot take on the tier list of sciences, and I guess
yeah.
learning what fake science or pseudoscience is.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, and by the way, let's clown each other. Who's wrong here?
yeah, let me know in the comments if Pan's really mistaken on what the true definition of pseudoscience is. I'm curious to see the answers.
I want people to clown on Sam. Let's go.
And also give us your take on what you think our tier rating was. Kind of curious.
Yeah,
We've had some very interesting takes on that. Obviously, we're not going to throw everything S tier because this is
yeah, that's
our
true.
opinion through
This is
our life.
opinion based and very biased at that too. So
Mhm.
yeah.
It's a good way to start this off because you get to know a little bit more about us,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't have to start this off with really hard, um, you know, facts and stuff like that. So be
True.
more interesting things to come for sure. There's some stuff on our radar that we would like to discuss. We'll try to keep it pretty relevant to today's what's going on today, and then also some very interesting things like Fordlandia. So, well,
Mm-hmm.
this was the first episode of Theory Bros. Hope that you could tune
Yeah.
in. Please also like and subscribe so we can continue to do this for your benefit and for your enjoyment. So,
Yeah. Kind of like if you like us, please do it so we can get them algorithms to go.
yeah. All right. Peace.
Peace.